Greetings once again to Science Club. After a somewhat short break, we are back for your scientific enjoyment. However, during that break, our editor has created a channel trailer, so if you haven't done so already, please go and check that out. Today's riddle's got some calculations in it, so get your pen and paper out and get ready to do some algebra. Now, let us imagine an alien race living somewhere out in space. These beings have a unit of measurement of distance called a lunar. It is known as such due to its relationship with our moon, specifically the fact that the moon's surface area in squared lunars is exactly equal to the moon's volume in cubic lunars. Now, if the moon is 2,160 miles in diameter, how many miles long is a lunar? Good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Previously on VC Science Club, we learned about the basic properties of density using different concentrations of colored salt water. Now, I've asked all of you guys for feedback, so today, due to popular demand, we'll be doing a special cooking edition of Science Club. You guys asked for it, so today we will be making pizza.
Pizza time.
This recipe includes several components. To make the dough, you will need 1 1/3 cups of warm water, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of yeast, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of oil, and 4 cups of flour. Now, if you care to make your own sauce, you would require 1 pan of tomato paste, 3/4 of a cup of water, some salt, perhaps Parmesan, and various spices such as garlic powder, oregano, basil, whatever you would like. Add about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of each. Of course, to top it all off, we need cheese. Here, I shall be using Swiss and mozzarella. And now, for the toppings. This scene contains elements that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. I shall use various meats and, pineapple. Pour 1 1/3 cups of warm water into a mixing bowl. Stir in 4 tablespoons of sugar until fully dissolved. Add 2 teaspoons of yeast and wait around 10 minutes so that the yeast can begin working well. Once you've finished waiting, add in 2 tablespoons of oil and 2 teaspoons of salt. And finally, pour in 4 cups of flour. And mix until a ball of dough is formed, and there are no bits remaining unattached. Put some flour onto the bottom of your bowl and let the dough rise in a warm area for about an hour. While we're waiting, we can quickly make the sauce. Put all of your ingredients, a can of tomato paste, 3/4 cups of water, half a teaspoon of salt, and all your other spices into a small frying pan. And stir with a whisk at medium temperature. Once it's all mixed in and warm, and some water has evaporated, you may choose to add some Parmesan. After an hour or so has passed, your dough should have grown substantially in size. Depending on how thick you want your pizza and how much your dough grew, this recipe should produce 2 or 3 whole pies. Here I'm going to just cut off 1/3. Next, you may want to sprinkle some flour onto a pan and roll out your pizza dough. You can form a crust by yourself, or simply let it rise on its own, or, as I usually choose to do it, add strips of cheese inside for a stuffed crust. After preheating your oven to 260 degrees Celsius or 500 degrees Fahrenheit, spread a thin layer of sauce out onto your pizza and add a desired amount of shredded cheese, toppings, and any spices you'd like. Then bake for 8 to 12 minutes, depending on your oven and how long you've been preheating it. Take out, cut into slices, and enjoy.
Pizza time.
Now, for those of you viewers out there asking yourselves, what does making pizza have anything to do with science? Well, prepare to be surprised. Right off the bat, we can see something interesting. The first step may seem a little odd, but unless you want to be eating a dense cracker with melted cheese on it later, it best be done. Yeast is a fungus, a living organism, and as such, it must take in energy, and the form preferred most by yeast is sugar. When mixed in with warm water and given sugar, the yeast cells perform a process known as fermentation. In this reaction, sucrose gets converted into ethanol, a simple alcohol, and carbon dioxide gas. This carbon dioxide then gets trapped within the dough, and later on results in the dough's significant increase in volume and fluffiness that is felt when eating the final product. Next, we add salt, which not only adds flavor but helps bring out the flavor and aroma of other ingredients, as well as controls fermentation due to its water-absorbing properties. Right after that is oil, which enhances the dough's volume while inhibiting the moisture penetration during baking, and, most importantly, gives that tender and flavorful addition to the crust. And now for the most vital ingredient of them all, flour. This component is full of carbohydrates, such as glucose and starch, as well as many proteins like gluten. This flour forms the bulk of the pizza, and the long carbohydrate chains are what makes the dough into what it is. At long last, we have the baking process, which we can easily note causes great changes to the pizza. The major process at work in this step is caramelization, in which various sugars oxidize and gain a brownish color along with a nutty taste. In layman's terms, sugar becomes caramel, giving the pizza dough a deep brown color. Additionally, the dough stiffens and hardens. This occurs for 2 reasons: the evaporation of water from the dough, and, more importantly, the long carbohydrate and protein chains becoming tangled together and denatured, respectively. One final interesting tidbit to be noted here is the reason why cheese even melts in the first place. The dominant milk protein, casein, and the various bonds that hold its individual molecules together are the reason why cheese stays solid. When these bonds break at around 50 to 80 degrees Celsius, depending on the type, the cheese turns into a thick liquid. Fats within the cheese, which usually melt at around 32 degrees, greatly assist in the melting, and thus cheeses with greater fat concentrations melt better. Cheeses with high acidities, on the other hand, become stringy when melted. Lastly, there are also cheeses like paneer and ricotta, which are curdled in acid rather than enzymes, and do not melt at all. And that just about does it for this episode, people. If you have any other suggestions for what we should do in the future, drop them down in the comments down below. And remember to attend this week's riddle. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Goodbye.